Hi, Year 3. Okay, here are your answers from yesterday. We were sequencing the myth Theseus and the Minotaur using our mythical story planner. So if you want to pause the screen and check that you put the events in the correct order, you can do that now. Let's just quickly remind ourselves what happens in the myth. So, King Midas lived on the island of Crete with his man-eating Minotaur, who lived in a dark labyrinth. That was our setting. Our hero, Theseus, was a King Aegeus' son who lived in Athens. King Aegeus was the king of Athens. Now, what was our dilemma? Well, every year Athens had to send children to Crete to be eaten by the Minotaur. Theseus wanted to stop this from happening, so volunteered to go to Crete and kill the Minotaur. So the dilemma was, it wasn't fair that the tributes from Athens were being sent and killed every year. So Theseus, our hero, wanted to solve that problem. Our quest. Theseus went on a long journey on his ship to Crete to find King Minos and the Minotaur. His dad told him to change the sails of the ship to a white one if he killed the Minotaur. What gifts and powers did he receive when he got there? So when he arrived in Crete, Theseus meets Prince Ariadne. She was King Minos's daughter, and she gave him a ball of string to help him find his way out of the dark labyrinth if he killed the Minotaur. Then Theseus went to the labyrinth. He tied the string to the entrance of the labyrinth and set off to find the Minotaur in the dark. Then we are introduced to our mythical creature, the Minotaur. He tried to find the Minotaur in the maze, but it was very dark. The Minotaur and King Minos purposefully make the labyrinth a dark place so that the tributes find it hard to find the Minotaur, and if they do defeat him, they find it impossible to get out. Next, Theseus finally felt the Minotaur's horns, and the Minotaur flung him into utter darkness. Our conflict, our disagreement between our characters. Theseus and the Minotaur had a battle, and Theseus defeated the Minotaur, and it fell to the floor and died. Hooray! And finally, our resolution. Was our problem solved? Well, yes, Theseus ran out of the labyrinth, he got back onto his ship and sailed home. So he did defeat the Minotaur. It will never be able to kill tributes again. However, it was quite a sad ending, wasn't it? Theseus was in such a rush to get back to Athens that he forgot to change his sails to the white sails. And therefore, his father thought he had died. So King Aegeus, you remember at the end of the story, threw himself into the sea, which was why that sea was called the Aegean Sea. Okay, so hopefully that's reminded you what happens in our myth. Now, over the next 2 weeks, we are going to be zooming in to a specific part of the myth, and here you can see which part that is. So the part that we are going to read and write a part of ourselves is the part of the myth all about the mythical monster, when Theseus meets the Minotaur and comes into conflict with him. Okay, so let's remind ourselves what a mythical creature is. I wonder if you can remember from yesterday what the definition of a mythical creature is. Let's check if you're right. So a mythical creature is an imaginary creature, usually half human and half animal. So on the screen here, you can see some examples of some mythical ancient Greek creatures. Here you can see Cyclops from our myth Odysseus and Cyclops that we looked at yesterday. He has just one eye. He holds an axe in his hand. Okay, he looks a little bit like Shrek, doesn't he? Here, I wonder if anybody knows who this is. This is Medusa, half woman, half snake. Her hair was made out of snakes. And finally, you should all know who this is. This is our Minotaur, half man, half bull. Very, very strong and muscular. So today we're going to be thinking about the Minotaur, okay, and what he looked like and his characteristics. So here you can see a short extract from our Greek myth that we read yesterday. And this is describing the conflict part of the myth. I'm going to read this to you, and I want you to think about what types of words are highlighted on the screen. Use your knowledge of the different word classes to try and figure that out. Okay, I'm going to read it to you now. Suddenly, his fingers brushed warm, wiry hair, then the bony curve of a horn. The Minotaur bellowed in his ears and flung him through the darkness. It stamped on him with sharp hooves. The string was knocked out of his hand. They fought in utter darkness. The monster, half man, half bull, crushed him between hairy arms and lashed him with its tail. Exciting the conflict is. So, I wonder if you know what types of words are highlighted in this text. Warm, wiry hair. Bony curve of a horn. Sharp hooves. Hairy arms. Shall we find out? I'm sure lots of you know. You're right, it's adjectives. Okay, so today, Thursday, the 4th of February 2021, we are learning to use a range of adjectives. How? Old learning is retrieved. Why? So that we can describe the Minotaur. It's really important that we describe the Minotaur to our reader so that they can imagine exactly what he's like as he battles Theseus in the labyrinth. As we read this part of the text, we can close our eyes and imagine exactly what the Minotaur looks like. And that's what we want to do in our writing next week. Okay, so let's just remind ourselves what an adjective is. An adjective is a single word that describes a noun. My turn. An adjective is a single word that describes a noun. Your turn. Super. Okay, so the example here with the sharp hooves, sharp is our adjective and hooves is our noun. Okay, so the hooves on the Minotaur's feet is the noun, sharp is the adjective describing those. Okay, and we can see that on this picture here. So here are the Minotaur's sharp hooves. Okay, the adjective is describing what the hooves are like. If they're sharp, we know that they would hurt the victims of the Minotaur. Okay, let's record that knowledge into our books now. I'm going to write my date first. Thursday, 4th of February. We're noticing also that lots of children are spelling February correctly with the work that they're sending in. So well done, everybody. You're showing that you're aiming high and also that you're able to make mistakes and learn from them. 2021. And then I'm going to write English. And today we are learning about adjectives. Underline with my ruler. Okay, let's record that key knowledge. Who can remember what an adjective is? An adjective is a single word that describes a noun. So we're going to write that here. An adjective is a single word that describes a noun. And I'm going to write an example here so that I understand that. So I'm going to write sharp hooves. Okay, and then I'm going to underline my adjective. Sharp is my adjective, whose is my noun. Pause the screen and record that key knowledge. Great work, Year 3. Now, today I am going to teach you some new adjectives that you might not already know. And these are adjectives that you can use to describe the Minotaur. So we're going to use our Wow word sheet that we use in class to help us understand what those words mean. There are just 6 words that I'm going to teach you, but you might want to use some different and new adjectives to describe the Minotaur later too. Okay, let's talk through our adjectives for today. So our first adjective is wiry. And a definition of wiry, it means thin and stiff hair. So an example sentence here is the dog had very wiry hair. So here you can see this dog here, and the hair of this dog is very thin and stiff. Okay, so if you stroked this dog, it wouldn't be really fluffy and soft. It has quite rough, thin and stiff hair, so it means it's wiry. I wonder if you have a dog like that, or you know a dog like that. Our next word is bony, okay? And bony means thin with no fat. Our sentence says, the ram had bony horns. Here you can see the ram's horns are very bony. I know that because they're very thin bones making up the horn and there is no fat on them. If I touched them, they would be very hard and rough. Both of these adjectives are used to describe the Minotaur in the text. Next adjective is muscular, which means strong with lots of muscles. Our example sentence is, the athlete had a very muscular back. And here you can see the athlete's muscular back. They're almost popping out of his skin. The next wow word is ravenous. And that means somebody is extremely hungry. Our example sentence is, she ate her dinner in 2 minutes and she was ravenous. So this girl here ate her, looks like a sandwich, very, very quickly because she was extremely hungry. Our next adjective is murderous, which means extremely dangerous and wants to kill. Our sentence is, the predator looks murderous. Our predator, you can see, is a tiger searching for its prey to kill. The tiger looks murderous. Its mouth is wide open, his sharp teeth are showing. His eyes look like it's looking for its prey. It's murderous, extremely dangerous. And our final wow word is the adjective piercing. So piercing can mean intense and strong. It's almost like something is staring at you. Our example sentence is, the black cat stared with its piercing eyes. And here you can see the black cat with its piercing yellow eyes staring straight at you. Has that ever happened to you? Have you ever seen a black cat that just stares straight at you? It's happened to me, and I would describe the cat's eyes as piercing. Okay, let's just talk through those adjectives one more time. My turn, wiry, your turn. My turn, bony, your turn. My turn, muscular, your turn. My turn, ravenous, your turn. My turn, murderous, your turn. And my turn, piercing, your turn. Super. Perhaps you want to make some actions today to match those different adjectives. Now, hopefully you can remember this model here, and this is called the Freya model. And the Freya model helps us to really understand the meaning of words. Here you can see an example of the Freya model being used to understand the word muscular, our adjective. We have to think about the definition, the characteristics and facts, examples and non-examples of that word. So my definition of muscular means lots of muscles. I know that from my sheet. The characteristics and facts of this adjective are bulky, strong, and easy to see. I know if I was looking for somebody or something that was muscular, I could look for these characteristics. Examples of nouns that are muscular are bodybuilders, minotaurs, and horses. Non-examples of muscular nouns are fish and caterpillars. They are not muscular. So our Freya model helps us to really understand the meaning of different words. Now that I really understand what muscular means, I can use that adjective to describe the Minotaur. Here, I have described the Minotaur's thighs. Muscular thighs. My adjective is muscular, my noun is thighs. Now, what I want you to do today is to complete the Freya model for our wow words, and then I want you to create a bubble map to describe the Minotaur. So just like I did here, I want you to complete a Freya model for the adjectives and then use that adjective to describe a feature of the Minotaur. Let me show you what that could look like in your books today. So underneath your key knowledge, you can draw your line with your ruler, as always, and then underneath that, we're going to complete our bubble map of the Minotaur. So you've got two choices today. You can either have a go at drawing the Minotaur, which would be great fun, or you can just write the Minotaur's name in the middle of your bubble map. It would be great to have a go at drawing the Minotaur because then you can really see its features, okay? Remember, you can use the video to rewind and see that picture of the Minotaur too. Then what you're going to do on the other side of your paper is choose some of the adjectives to complete the Freya model for. Okay, so for example, I might choose the adjective piercing. So I'm going to put piercing in the middle. And then I'm just going to draw 4 lines from the adjective. It'd be quite tricky to draw the whole box. Then, for each of those lines, we need to write the definition of piercing, characteristics of that adjective, examples of nouns that could be described as piercing, and non-examples. Then underneath each of those headings, you can write your descriptions, okay? So here you can see my example of the Freya model. So piercing, I found my definition from my wow word sheet, means intense and strong. The characteristics of something being piercing might be strong stares. It feels captivating. You can't stop looking at something that has piercing eyes, and it feels like it's looking straight at you. Our example was the black cat's eyes, and a non-example of something that has piercing eyes might be a cute puppy's eyes who look very sad and cute. They don't look straight at you and captivate your attention. Okay, so now that I've completed that, now I need to think about what feature of the Minotaur is piercing. So here in my book, I can see the Minotaur's eyes. They're a red colour and they look piercing. I'm sure they would even glow in the dark if you went into the labyrinth. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is draw my line from my bubble map and write piercing eyes. Now, if I want to challenge myself today, I can create an expanded noun phrase by using 2 adjectives to describe my noun. So I might say piercing, comma, red eyes. I also know a type of red is scarlet, and that's a bright red. I'm challenging myself there to use a more specific noun. Piercing, scarlet eyes. Okay. So that is what I'd like you to do today. By the end of today, I want you to create a bubble map with different adjectives to describe the Minotaur. Use the adjectives from our Wow Words today, but you can also think of your own too. You don't have to draw your Freya models onto your sheet. You can just talk through them with somebody if you'd like to, but if you would like to write them in your book, you can do. Super work, everybody. Looking forward to seeing your descriptions. Thank you. Bye.